Is it okay now?
Yeah. Now, performance of construction sector in Lanka in year
Yeah, that's right.
2022.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Okay, let me get back to that again.
Mm.
Now, this is uh, what was
Can you go to
disclosed.
slideshow?
Okay, no issue. Now you see it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Now, this
Mm.
is what I was talking to you, that this is something disclosed by one of the forums conducted by NSBM very recently. What happened was that in the financial year of 2022 and 2023, they had about 260 projects worth 20 billion US dollars funded by foreign and local investors channeled through the treasury. Now, out of these 260 projects, they managed to complete on time, on budget, within acceptable quality, only 12% of the projects. Remaining 88% of the projects were not delivering the value that is supposed to deliver. Benefit realization is very important in project management. Now, you are investing so much of money, but you are not getting the benefits, but still you are paying your loan interest, including the interest, back to the investors without proper benefits. So this has happened because of the misappropriation of funds and misuse of the funds because of the unethical behaviors of certain sector of the society. Now, this is why we are trying to understand how we can improve using professional ethics, this kind of situation. Some blame it to the pandemic situation, but it is not the pandemic situation that created this issue. If you look at the United States during that period, they improved their performance from 69% to 73% during the pandemic. So it is not really, but they really found they have some other problems. Like when they spend 1 billion US dollars, they found 127 million US dollars is waste. They investigated that. And they found when they investigated, it is due to lack of communication skills, lack of contract administration skills, not utilizing the latest technology in executing projects like digital twins, and not taking decisions based on the data analytics. This is one of the biggest problems that we have. And we don't pay attention to this data analytics part of the project management, and people are making decisions based on their common sense. It doesn't work like that. Let me explain to you when I come to the this ethical conduct of professionals. Now, for this, what they say is the proper legislation is a must. Of course, now due to IMF influences, that Sri Lanka have already passed the legislation in the parliament, still it yet to be implemented. Now, the problem that we have is that we are not complaining even if we find somebody is doing something with conflicts of interest. Now, this is one of the pictures that I taken from one of the magazines where they show two Australians were arrested in Australia for giving bribes to Sri Lankan officials to take some lucrative projects, because the Australian public is informed well what is bribe, what is misappropriation funds, and how to complain it, how to bring the culprits to the law and apprehend the culprits. Now, this is also a part of the ethics. We must get that information channeled through the society so that they will take action immediately when they say there is something happening with conflicts of interest. Otherwise, people will all get together and do the same thing and corrupting everything, and the country is going down. So this can be arrested if you really get into this ethics subject. And on the anti-corruption day, His Excellency the President was explaining this situation like what I say. But what he says is that no matter how many laws are enacted or institutions established, justice cannot be ensured to the citizens if those responsible for enforcing them implement them in an ethical manner. So this is where ethics is very important. Now let me explain to you how the ethics will come and play in this particular game. In challenging situations where you may be under pressure to compromise personal integrity and your values, you must, organizational code of ethics and professional conduct can be a good reference. When you are under pressure to compromise your personal integrity, you should refer to the code of ethics of your own professional organization. For example, IESL have their own code of ethics standards, and that gives you the proper guidance, but you should know how to read it. This is what I am coming to. Now, to guide individuals in making sound decisions while upholding trust of the profession, you must do what is right and honorable. As engineers, you have a responsibility to refer to the proper standards and do what is right and honorable. Such code of ethics are based on core values which can vary with the organization, and it will be identified by the organization itself. Now, IESL has identified what are the values based on which that they develop their ethics. Now, here I'm giving you the respect, responsibility, fairness, and honesty as the values based on which Project Management Institute of USA develop their code of ethics for their members of this professional group. So I'm going to discuss these values, how it is going to be affected. They are the values forming fundamental principles of the PMI code of ethics. Now that code of ethics has two sections, two standards. One is aspirational standards of conduct. That conduct that we strive to uphold. We are trying to achieve that by your own. And then adherence is not easy to measure, because you might say that I am adhering to that, but internally, although you think that you want to adhere, but out when it comes out, when you actual practice, you are not doing that. So it is a bit difficult to measure. Now, but it is not optional. It is a mandatory thing. Then you have mandatory standards of conduct. Now, under mandatory standards of conduct, that they have established firm requirements. Now, if anybody violated these standards, they can take disciplinary action if they have a steering committee or disciplinary committee. For example, maybe I don't know whether people remember, there was one doctor, Priyani Soisa. She made a mistake in prescribing some medicine or something. One child died, and that father took a court case and sort of cancelled her practicing license. So that type of, when you violate mandatory standards, if you have a body to control that, that body can limit or prohibit your practice also. And whatever happens, now conduct covered in these standards, that is aspirational standards and mandatory standards, are not mutually exclusive. If you violate one standard, the other standard also will get violated. Now, credibility and reputation of your profession is shaped by the collective conduct of individuals. Now, you as an engineer, when you practice, you start malpracticing things, you start violating codes of ethics. Not only you will be blacklisted, the whole engineering community will get affected. So you got to have your own personal interests to safeguard your colleagues as well by providing professional service with ethics. Right. Now, IESL Code of Ethics, that you can read it from Institute of Engineers website. You go to IESL website and you find these particular code of ethics, and it evolves around 8 clauses and several rules. I'll just explain it with examples.
They are very clear about the ISL code of ethics.
Yeah.
We have done it several
PMI
times.
Code of Ethics also, you can download it and you can see it from their website. And it has, it evolves around these two standards, which I told you, aspirational standards and mandatory standards. I will explain one by one. And this is the structure of the PMI Code of Ethics. You have aspirational conduct standards and mandatory conduct standards. Now, adherence to the aspirational standards is not easy to measure, but conducting ourselves in accordance with these standards is a must and it is not optional. But mandatory standards establish firm requirements. Professionals who do not conduct themselves in accordance with these standards will be subject to the disciplinary action. Now, both standards are based on these values: responsibility, respect, fairness, honesty. Right. Now, conduct covered under aspirational standards and conduct covered under mandatory standards, both conduct standards are not mutually exclusive. If you violate one, definitely the other one will be violated. One specific act or omission could violate both aspirational and mandatory standards. Now, let us see responsibility as an aspirational standard. Now, this is given in the clause 2.2 of PMI ethics and clause 1 of IESL ethics. Leaders have the responsibility to make decisions and take action in the best interest of the society, public safety, the environment impact, stakeholder impact. This is very, very important. Who is a stakeholder? Stakeholder is a person or a group, those who are affected positively or negatively due to your act as a manager or a leader. Now, for example, when I was doing the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, I had a dispute with the contractor, but contractor was asking something not in accordance with the contract, which I refused. But finally, I find a 21-year-old girl coming into my hotel room with a sexy outfit to negotiate the final outcome. So I did not know this girl is affected because of my decision. So you must always remember, when you take decisions as a leader, you must consider the stakeholder impact. This is what this clause 2.2 says. I will explain to you what happened to that girl and how I manage ethically things, but this is one of the examples that I can give it to you. Now, affected stakeholders always try to put pressure to compromise integrity and values of decision makers to mitigate stakeholders' risks. Because I was not paying their bills according to their requirements, I was paying the bills based on the contract requirements. So they were telling that they were losing the project, so they were facing risks. So when they were facing risks, they thought, okay, let us go and see whether we can compromise Nihal's integrity. That is the approach. So responsibility is an aspirational standard. So team leaders must be concerned of the environment. Now, this is also in IESL and PMI. Now, for example, I was the project director of Maldives International Airport. And the soil report recommends to use board piles. Now, to use board piles, you have to drill a hole on the ground. But it was a made-up ground like our port city. Ground was made by pumping sand. Now, if you drill a hole, the hole will collapse. To prevent the hole collapsing, you should use a chemical called bentonite slurry. Now, if I use the bentonite slurry, that slurry is harmful to the marine life. Although the design or the soil report recommended, I have a responsibility to safeguard the environment. I cannot say that my soil report says this. So because of that, I changed the type of foundation from board pile to driven pile. When I drive the pile, I don't need that particular situation. So this is an aspirational standard. I want to do something right and honorable. So remember this, something right and honorable. What is right? Of course, this was an EPC turnkey contract, engineering, procurement, and construction, all three done by Bin Laden Group. So they have the right to select construction method and design method, everything. Right. And the same project, it was constructed, this terminal building was constructed just few meters away from the sea. So when we start digging foundations, water starts seeping. So we have to dewater it. Now, if I dewater this water as it is, it will make a pollution in the sea. So what I did, I installed a filtering system so that I can reduce the total dissolved solids in the water I'm discharging into the sea. So that is again an aspirational standard. I want to protect the environment. So remember this, that don't go by the recommendations of somebody if you are harming the environment. You must always take ownership responsibility of errors. And errors can happen. I have made few errors in my life, but you must take the responsibility as an aspirational standard and undertake corrective action. Don't hide errors. Clause 2.2.4 Prima Ethics says very clearly that. And responsibility demands that you do not undertake assignments that are not compatible with your experience, skills, educational, and professional qualifications. This is happening in Sri Lanka. There are guys, those who are doing things without knowing head or tail of what they are doing. I'll give you an example. I faced this problem in Kuala Lumpur International Airport. An inexperienced laboratory technician did the pavement quality concrete design mix calculations. He made a blunder. When we laid the concrete lanes of the airport, and we found when we make 100 meters of length of 5-meter width, it started cracking. Of course, I was called to Kuala Lumpur because of this problem. Problem was like this. You can see this picture. Now here, this is a 5-meter lane of the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, which we cast with dowels laterally protruding 150 millimeters to transfer shear. Now, when we extrude this particular lane, this 150 millimeter weight is giving a downward force, while it will, on the opposite direction, it will have an upward force. Now that will be resisted by the concrete that is not hardened yet, and that tensile strength was not enough to hold this dowel. So it started cracking. Now this was a clear mistake of the design calculations. So because what happened was that that guy took the responsibility and did the design, but he was not experienced enough. Don't do that. Always remember that this is the most dangerous thing that you should do. If you don't know the subject, tell them, okay, I'm not an expert, bring somebody who can do that job. You understand? Right. And not only that, and he had made another mistake. When I was doing the design, only I realized that, you see, a plane is carrying about 300 to 400 tons of load. It will be distributed at 3 points as a point load. When a concrete, of course, concrete is rigid pavement, but it has certain flexibility because you are constructing concrete on top of a flexible base layer. So there should be a flexural strength to the concrete, because remember, pavement quality concrete aprons are not reinforced concrete. They are unreinforced concrete. Only this steel they have to transfer lateral shear. Now, when this happens, you depend on the flexural strength of the concrete. That flexural strength of the concrete depends on a certain a structure of the concrete, because you have aggregate. Now, aggregate get interlocked if you have the proper flakiness index. This aggregate will have sand and cement in between. Now, we were using initially 450 kilogram of cement per cubic meter. I thought that was a bit high. So because of that, I did some investigation and try to see whether I can reduce this cement content, because if you have high cement content, your flexural strength is less. When I did that exercise, I put 350 from 400, 350, 300, 300, 290, like that. I did all testing. Then I found the 350 is the best cement content that we should have per kilo, I mean, so many kilograms per cubic meter. Now, when I get this situation analyzed, I submitted a report. When I submitted a report, the consultant rejected that. He said, no, you are trying to reduce the cement content. You are trying to reduce the Daratride 40, that is a chemical additive, and they were suspecting it. When they rejected, I told Bin Laden, look, this is the problem. I investigated, I found the root cause of the problem, but if the consultant is not approving it, we have to put political pressure and get this approved. Otherwise, we cannot finish this project. Now, you might be thinking that putting political pressure is unethical. No, I told him, if you don't put that pressure and get this approved, we will be in big trouble. We have to cast about 350,000 cubic meters of concrete in 1 year. So you must cast every day 1,000 cubic meters per day. You cannot do that unless otherwise you resolve this. I was trying to leave the project also. Then he said, no, Nihal, you cannot leave. Let's go and discuss with the consultant and try to convince them. I went with Bin Laden, and then he explained to him, this is my senior structural engineer. He's a chartered engineer, and he knows how to do the calculation, and he is approving what is the problem. Although you approved the previous design, it was wrong. People make mistakes, but we have to do the right thing. Still, they were adamant. They were not allowing us to proceed. Then the Bin Laden said, guys, in that case, I will take the full responsibility of the design. I mean, he told them 3 words. I will take the responsibility of cost, risk, and execution responsibility. You leave it to me, I will execute it. Then they said, okay, if you want to take the responsibility and proceed. Then following day, I started doing it, and I showed them this is the right mix design, and it was working nicely. So this type of decisions, people can make mistakes, but don't leave it. Investigate, find the root cause of the problem, and then come up with the solutions. This is your ethical approach. Don't think that I am going to put pressure on the consultant. No, I put the pressure, showing them by calculation, this is the right thing. You see, as engineers, we learn science. 1 + 2 = 3. Nobody can say 1 + 2 = 5. So like that, you must have good justification ability to manage. Right. Respect as an aspirational standard of conduct. Avoid engaging behaviors that can be considered as disrespectful to the norms and customs of others. How you do that? You see, if you find somebody, let us say that you have a deputy coming in, and you are afraid that this deputy will take over your position. You tell your colleagues, man, ignore that guy. Try to give him a hard time. So that is not respectful behavior of a leader. If somebody is explaining a problem, don't interrupt him. Try to listen to him. Be a good listener and try to understand the problem and find the solution. This is your responsibility as engineer. Now look at this. If respect is something that you must show respect and high regard to yourself first. Then others and the other resources and responsibilities assigned to people like money, reputation, safety of others. Look at this picture. Has anybody seen this picture in the internet? This is the picture where a mobile crane was toppled in Makkah, the holy mosque area, killing 111 people. The reason is the project manager who hired the crane finished his work, but he did not off-hire the crane, and he had a secret agreement with the supplier and himself to share the profit. Unfortunately, there was an unusual wind situation, and this mobile crane toppled. So that means this project manager did not respect that resource that was idling. He was greedy. So these are the unethical behaviors which you should avoid. Of course, with that toppling of the crane in Saudi Arabia, if somebody dies, I have to pay blood money 1 million riyal. Bin Laden paid 111 million riyals because of this accident. So that is, again, unethical behavior explained well. And disrespect can be verbal. Sometimes you start calling names. You call Sia, Maina, Burwa. You are hurling insult. Don't do that. That is very unethical. You may have a grudge with Sia and Maina and Burwa, but doesn't matter. As professional, you should behave in an ethical manner. Some people raise voice to the subordinates and try to show your anger. Who cares? Okay, you are project director. You raise voice for what? Explain things. Let me understand and do the job. This is the attitude. So you can be a very big boss, but don't start talking to your subordinate with anger. Try to collaborate. Try to get everybody's help. That is the ethical behavior. Some people are eye-rolling and telling so many stories. Now, Nestamalt ad, maybe you may not Nestamalt ad. There was one Viva ad that you can see that eye-rolling thing over there. Now, these are very unethical. So try to understand that and correct yourself in such a way that you behave ethically. If you have conflicts and disagreement with others, approach them directly and iron it out differences. Maybe you don't like the man, you don't like his approach. Go and talk to him. Tell him that this is the problem. Thrash it out. Don't keep that in your heart as a grudge, because you are suffering, not him. Every time you don't like to see him sometimes. So when you have conflicts and disagreements, go and thrash it out face to face. And you continue conducting yourself in a professional manner, even when it is not reciprocated by others. Follow the standards. Yeah, sometimes people used to tell others, look, this Nihal is a very dangerous guy. Take care. But still, you should conduct yourself in a professional manner. One day in a meeting, he said, one of the consultants said, look, I did not greet Nihal good morning. He asked, why? If I say good morning, Nihal will send a letter saying that this guy told me, greeted me good morning, that is not right, and contractually, this is this is that. When somebody is conducting yourself professional manner, others will try to run you down. Don't be afraid. If you are ethically conducting yourself and take decisions based on data analytics, you will be always right. Avoid engaging gossip and making negative remarks to undermine reputation of others. This is also always you will find when you try to practice in office. So many people will make gossips, so many bad remarks about you, and this guy is having this affair, that affair. These things you should not allow people to spread. If you find somebody is doing that, stop him. That is your responsibility as a professional. Or you must always engage with such stupid people, those who are spreading the rumors. Fairness as an aspirational standard of conduct. Now, you take certain decisions, but demonstrate your decision-making process is very much transparent. Everybody understands. If you do something hiding and when it comes up, everybody start making all the grievances because you have not been transparent enough to let them know that this is coming. Always, if you take corrective action, they will accept it, although you are not transparent. And do not put others in conflict of interest situations. I mean, don't bring your batchmates, friends, relatives around you when you are the project manager. What happens? When your colleagues come around you, they will make a big barrier and nothing will come in, nothing will go out. You people make stupid mistakes. And when you execute things, only that it will be disclosed. Because you always like to hear what your batchmates or what your friends, what your faithfuls are telling, but they are not faithful. They can be misguiding you also. So conflicts of interest is very big issue in engineering practice. Receiving kickbacks or bribes is a clear conflicts of interest case. You know, if you take bribes, if you take kickbacks, you know what happens? Contractor will give you. But what he will do, he will cut corners in the execution. So he will reduce the quality to pay you that back. So this is a disaster in Sri Lanka very much. So ethically, if you behave, these things cannot happen. Proactively search for potential conflicts of interest situations, insist that they be resolved. Now, if you find conflicts of interest within your organization, as a leader, you must search them, go after them, and kill them. Otherwise, you know what happened? Everybody will start taking bribes. Nobody complains against the other that this behavior. This is what is happening in Sri Lanka. But in Australia, if they find they have been ethically taught, this is the action to be taken. That is why they arrested the two guys. Now, favoring one subcontractor or supplier over another based on personal preferences or relationships. You listen to the court committee cases. Always favoration. That makes the situation worse. When I was doing this State Distilleries Corporation warehouse, the managing director of this corporation favored one of his batchmates to take over the contract. And they selected the contractor, they finished that phase and gave it to the State Engineering Corporation to manage the project. I was there to manage the project and I found this guy has done enough of things. Finally, he was not submitting a sample of a light which is fireproof. He bring fire retardant light. Then I told him, look, man, if you don't give me the proper sample to approve according to specification, I will forfeit your performance bond. He was boasting. And after certain correspondence contractually, I forfeited his performance bond. And 1.1 million rupees of worth of check was released by Greenlace Bank. Then the managing director of that corporation called me, Nihal, what stupid thing that you had done? You have killed these contractors and all these things. I didn't bother. I continue my case and I make sure that we appoint another subcontractor and finish the job. At that time, so many, even State Engineering Corporation Chief Quantity Survey came and told me, Nihal, what you have done is wrong. I said, no, this is what the contract says. Performance bond is for that. So that type of decisions is important. Otherwise, everybody will start they don't learn the lesson. So this is what is important. You behave and act ethically. Don't favor anybody. Provide equal access to information. Example, bidding process of a tender. Sometimes tender information, they release some and they keep part to the person who is favored by the leader of the organization. This type of things are happening in Sri Lanka. The COPE committee always discuss these things. Why this is happening? We are not ethically trained. Pre-qualified subcontractors. You see, if there is a tender, if you allow every Jack and Jill to come and tender, what happens? The rates will vary in a big range. But if you pre-qualify the people, those who are really qualified to undertake this type of work, then you get proper rates. But of course, some people using these pre-qualifications, also they try to pay favor it to his own friends. Don't do that. This is the ethical behavior that we demand. Honesty as an aspirational standard. Always you must seek to understand the truth. You must be honest enough to understand the truth. Because sometimes people try to sort of tell you lies. Now, for example, you are in the office still working, your wife is calling, where are you? Then you say, I'm on the way. No, you are still in the office. He is fear of his wife and telling a lie. Don't do that. This is very unethical. Explain why you cannot meet certain requirement or a deadline instead of giving false information. If you cannot do it, explain to your boss, no, I cannot do it because of this and that. That is the ethical behavior. And create a self-correcting system to find the truth. Peer review. I told you I'm a civil engineer. I have done 3 international airports: Sharjah International Airport, Kuala Lumpur International Airport, and Maldives International Airport. But I'm not a specialist of airport design. I have a separate team, those who are specialized in designing airport systems. When they do the design, what I do? I call a third party, equally qualified, equally professional airport design consultant. I give all my documents to them. And then they will review it and they will make all these comments. I will pay for that. Never mind. And once that report comes, I call my team. I call my consultants team. I call my employers team and explain them, okay, this is how we are executing the thing, and I have given to a third party consultant, he has these comments, and this is how we are going to solve it. What I am doing, I am building my confidence with my consultant and employer. They will start thinking, oh, Nihal is honest enough to explain everything and get the approval. I get the approval much faster than any other process. So honesty is the best policy. And it's an aspirational standard as well. And sometimes people don't give the information in a right manner and correct manner and a timely. You see, you have data cleaning techniques in data science, but that clean is only to find missing values, outliers, something like that. But if you are giving the wrong information, your manager will take the wrong decision. All will be in the soup. So provide accurate information. Be honest enough to do that. Ensure the information you provide to others are accurate and reliable and timely. If you don't do that, again, others will be in trouble. Have courage to listen to the bad news. Really, there are certain instances. Your subordinate will come and say, sir, this is going to collapse if you do it like this. And even if it is bad news, understand from him why it is like that. So this is very important. Don't interrupt if somebody is giving the bad news also. Listen to him. Try to understand. Active listening is one of the soft skills of a project manager. If you don't have that, you take all wrong decisions. Avoid hiding information when the outcome is negative. I told you, 20 billion worth of projects, 88% were not successful, but everybody kept hiding until they finished everything and to say, oh, our project is on loss. No, there are enough methods, enough data analytics techniques for you to warn before everything happens. You must monitor your progress in such a way to understand whether it is going according to the baseline or not. Now that you should do it from the day one. You don't have to wait until the end of the project to understand your project is losing. Now this is because of the hiding information when the outcome is negative. Responsibility as mandatory standards. Be fully aware to uphold policies, rules, and regulations and laws that govern your work. If you go to another country, they have their own laws. So you should read and understand labor rules, custom rules, all these things, and apply these things. It is your responsibility. It is a mandatory standard. If you violate that, you will be punished. Report all unethical or illegal conduct to the appropriate management. This is what we are not doing. We get together and do the illegal things. Don't do that. You should not assist others engaging illegal behavior or to carry out illegal activities. This is a rule 1.8 of the IESL ethics. Giving confidential information about the project to the third parties is illegal. Yes. Everybody will come after the project manager to know the contractor's rate. So if you pay something, if you get something, they will do all the damage to your company. So never give confidential information to third parties. Report illegal or unethical conduct of others, even if it will have negative impact on you. I told you about the Australian police arresting 2 Australian nationals. Similarly, you can always call 1954 and report corruption and bribery. Note that down. Bring violations of code of ethics to the attention to the appropriate body for resolution. Don't be an onlooker. If you find this is a violation, report. You must cultivate that culture. Now, latest amendment to Bribery Act has been passed, so anybody can be jailed if legally proved. So you have the road open. Use it. And let us correct this situation. Otherwise, we will be going down like hell. The construction industry in Sri Lanka, if it is not revived, our GDP targets cannot be reached. Now, we have local contractors, but alone local contractors cannot support this. You need the foreign contractors. You need the foreign investors. When they come, they are coming with a mind, oh, Sri Lankan officials, very easy to compromise their integrity. We must eliminate this. Otherwise, we will be in big trouble. We must have sufficient facts to substantiate claim. This is something that happened to me. When I was doing the Dubai Sports Complex, I ordered sports equipment worth of 136 million dirhams on LC terms of at site. Then somebody go and complain to Bin Laden, yeah, Nihal also talking too much, but he's also doing X, Y, Z. So that went a big case, and of course there was a hearing. And in that hearing, Bin Laden was there in the hearing room. The financial controller told me, Nihal, are you going to close Bin Laden Group in Dubai? I said, what? Bin Laden Group cannot be closed by me because it's a very resourceful company. No, you have already issued 136 million dirhams of LCs and our financial situation is strained. I said, yes, I ordered that 136 million dirhams of worth of material because it's a contract condition. Contract condition says FINA is the world championship, swimming governing body, like Olympic committee. So this FINA has their own suppliers, those who are sponsoring their events, and they know which equipment fits where. And FINA has given us a list, more than 3 subcontractors or suppliers to select. So I did my tendering process and selected the proper suppliers, those who promised me timely delivery and quality supply. So based on that, I have taken a decision according to the according to the contract conditions and the company rules. What are you talking? 136 million. If you don't issue this on LC terms at site, LC terms at site means they can collect their money if they submit the bill of lading or the shipping documents to the bank. So they were suspecting on that. I said yes, because they are guaranteeing me the timely delivery, they are guaranteeing the quality supply, and they are demanding their payments be made on time. It is fair. Risk and responsibility is shared. I said, if I don't finish this project on 10th of December 2010, where the FINA World Championship is going to be held in Dubai, who will be embarrassed? Dubai ruler will be embarrassed. And Dubai ruler will come and close Bin Laden group the following day. Bin Laden was listening to me. He said, stop, enough. We hear it enough. Stop this discussion. Nihal, you go and finish the job. It is important for me to finish the project on time. I will take care of this financial constraint. So if I did not have all my substantiation, I would have been a soup. So actually, you must not complain if you don't have sufficient facts to complain. Refrain from accusing others of ethical misconduct when we don't have all the facts also. So there are two sides of the story. So anyway, I managed to finish that project, which I showed you in my initial slides. Right. Respect as a mandatory standard of conduct. Now, this is also very, very important. You negotiate with good faith, look for win-win situations, and commit to meet deal terms. It is no point you negotiating with a party who has no desire to agree, but check the authority of other party to negotiate. I told you there was a girl coming into my hotel room. I negotiated with her nicely, and I'll explain to you at the end of the project. And I used these tactics. Never use your expertise and position to influence and benefit personally at their expense. You see what happened? Tala bukra means come tomorrow. You see, we as engineers, we do carry out measurements, we certify payments, we ask accountant to issue the check. The subcontractor will go to the accountant, he will say Tala bukra. He will go tomorrow, he says Tala bukra. This is an Arabic word. When you say Tala bukra, he understands, oh, this guy will not release my check unless otherwise I give you something. And this is how you use your positional power to get advantage. Don't do that. And if it is happening in Sri Lanka, go and complain this number. Bribery department, they will take action. Neither give nor accept directly or indirectly any gift or payment or service or inducement which are above the norms. Okay, how do you find whether it is above the norm or not? You see, if a subcontractor asks you to join with him to lunch, go and have your lunch. Have a cup of tea. There's no issue. It's not a big deal. But if your subcontractor invite you to come and play golf with you, be careful. When I was in Malaysia, one of the subcontractors invited me to play golf. I said, I don't know golf. I am Sri Lankan. Oh, yeah, you people are playing cricket. If you can play cricket, you can play golf also. Then I went for that game, and I find he came with some of his colleagues. They were letting me win, which I first time played golf. And finally, for the winner, there was a check. At that time, I said, I will not accept this check. I'm not an expert in playing golf, and this is something above the norms, which I cannot accept. So this is how you realize what is acceptable and which is not acceptable. So be careful. Respect proprietary rights of others. Of course, I am not very much discussing on this because it's very difficult with this AI now. So let me skip that. Never use unlicensed software tools or get your professional work done, because be aware that you are killing the livelihood of another creator. So software, unlicensed software, if you're using, it's again a violation of ethics. Leaders should be truthful in their communication and actions, because if you are not truthful, to cover one lie, you have to tell 10 lies. So be careful, be ethical. Fairness as a mandatory standard of conduct. Disclose any real potential conflicts of interest before you act. Now, for example, I wanted my son to work with me to train him before he proceeding with his postgraduate studies. But if I'm the project manager, if I take my son, everybody will start, oh, Nihal is now bringing his son and all these things. What you should do in that type of conflicts of interest situation? You must inform the hierarchy that you are doing this. If hierarchy says, Nihal, go ahead and do it, then you can always do that type of things. What I did was I spoke to Bin Laden and I told him, look, I want to put my son under pressure for 6 months before he leave for his further studies, and I want to recruit him. He said, Nihal, by all means, do it, and ask him to finish his studies and come and work with Bin Laden group. So this is the way that if you have potential conflicts of interest, how to handle it. Until you disclose the conflict of interest to the affected stakeholders, refrain from engaging with decision-making process. Don't go to the steering committee if you have conflicts of interest, if you have your own friends there on the project as contractors or subcontractors. This is happening. They will give you bribes and they will cut corners in their execution to compensate your bribe. Stop favoritism, favoring friends, relatives, giving jobs or contracts or bonus, especially when you are distributing bonus. You give only to your faithfuls. Don't do that. Everybody die hard to achieve the goals, and everybody deserves that. Do not discriminate against others based on gender, race, and age, religion, that you know very well. Honesty as a mandatory standards of conduct. Do not engage in behaviors designed to deceive others. That means don't give dead ropes to others. Sometimes people, jokingly do that, but that is not ethical. Must be honest. Do not make misleading false statements. Sometimes they fudge the records to make it look attractive, but it is not the truth. Don't do that. Do not state half of the truth, providing information out of context. Believe me, when I went to investigate that cracks in the Kuala Lumpur International Airport, nobody was telling me the truth. Everybody, including the consultant, was hiding it. That is very unethical. Yaki, you are going to help them. You must tell the truth. I'm trying to root cause of the problem. You should not try to find solution without knowing what is the root cause of the problem. That is a fundamental thing. And if you don't give the information, then it is very difficult for you to find it out. Do not withhold information that, if known, would render our statement as misleading, incomplete. This is what I told you in the PQC case at KL, Kuala Lumpur International Airport. Do not engage in dishonest behavior with the intention of gaining personally or at the expense of others. Don't try to live your lifestyle on hard-earned money of somebody else. This is the meaning. Be honest. Develop credibility by providing complete and accurate information. You see, if you give your correct information to others, they will trust you. They will say, go and ask Nihal, and he knows A to Z of this subject, and he will give the right information. You develop the credibility, then you become a big leader. If you don't have a credibility, nobody cares you. So it is an ethical behavior. Honesty as a mandatory standard. Honesty should be part of every transaction, interaction, decision, or action of the organization and its employees. Honesty is the best policy. Right. With the implementation of these ethics and professional conduct as above, There will be a couple of stakeholders significantly affected by your acts. They will make rumors. Oh, Nihal is a tough guy and he is crazy sometimes and all these things. That is because the stakeholders are affected. So these stakeholders will try to mitigate their risks by putting pressure on you to compromise your personal integrity and values. That is what that girl was trying to do. She came to my hotel room and offered me $1,000 per day and herself to enjoy visiting all the places of Malaysia. So she's trying to compromise my values and integrity. This is the meaning. In such situations, your risk response strategy is important. First, if there is a risk, you try to avoid it, choosing not to pursue an activity with high potential risk of harming your reputation and integrity. Number two, you try to mitigate. Take proactive steps to reduce the likelihood or impact of the risk by covering all the gaps which can allow residual risks to become major risks. Have you seen when Sangakkara or the Jayasuriya is batting, Ricky Ponting always cover his cover drives. So that is what risk mitigation. You know that this guy is capable of doing this and that, and this is strength and this is the weakness. Based on that, you mitigate your risks. Risk transfer, shifting the responsibility of risk to another party. Why you are taking insurance cover? You transfer your risk to that insurance company. If anything happens, that insurance company will pay. Risk acceptance, acknowledging a risk and deciding not to take any specific action to address it, often used when the potential impact is considered low. So how do you find whether the risk impact is low or not? That is by this expected monetary value, EMV, that is equal to probability of occurring that risk. Whatever the risk, how much? 80%, 90%, 30%, whatever the percent. And the cost. What is the cost? If that risk happens, how much it will cost you to recover from that risk. And if that EMV value is high, it's a high risk. Try to avoid it and try to mitigate, try to reduce the EMV value. So this is how, when you are in a situation, if somebody is trying to compromise your integrity and values, you must try to avoid this risk. Strategy to negotiate. How you are going to do the negotiation? When you negotiate, framing the negotiation as a win-win situation. Don't think that you only should win. Make sure that your opponent also wins. And when you are doing such negotiation, do that negotiation in the presence of all stakeholders. Don't do individual negotiations. It is also very dangerous. That girl was affected by my act, but I negotiate with her, her boss, my boss, and Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia, and all these high-ranking people, those who are involved in this case. Right? Use silence strategically. Don't try to talk and talk and talk and talk and expose yourself too much. You must always improve this soft skill, that is active listening. Carefully listen. Try to listen. Now, sometimes people say certain things, but don't look at only the content of what he's saying. Look at his body language. It is important. 55% of the communication is body language. So you must improve your active listening abilities. You must ask probing questions. I ask her, why you are offering yourself and why not like this? So explore all the possibilities. And you propose some alternatives. Let us do like this. Know her depth. Be prepared to walk away if necessary. If your tactics are not working, just get out from the negotiation. This is what a strategy. Actively listen to the other party's concern. Okay, negotiation tactics. First, positional bargaining. Firmly state your initial position and making small concessions. You understand that. Now, she came and offered me $1,000 per month. And she thought her initial position is strong. I'm sure that this is not her tactics, her boss tactics. And later she gave, okay, I will also go with you, and all these small concessions. Anchoring, setting the initial price or terms to influence the negotiation range. That's what I said. If you give an attractive offer, your opponent might accept. Anchor it from there and then start negotiating slowly. High balling, low balling, making an extreme opening offer to sway the other party. You see, there was a case, one textile company in Sri Lanka did not do a private limited registration, and somebody else go and get the registration as a private limited. Then there was a dispute. What that the company, those who have established for so many years, did, they paid 50 million rupees and get buy that name. So when you do that type of extreme opening offer, he will succumb. So this is a negotiating tactic. Log rolling, trading concessions on less important issues to reach mutually beneficial agreement. So always you study the case before you start negotiating. Always have something to trade concessions. Negotiation tactics, expanding the pie, identifying additional areas of values to create more options for both parties. And because you want to get win-win situation, no? So you must find her part also, how to let her also win. Deadline pressure, using looming deadlines to force a decision. I told her, because when she offered $1,000 per month, I told that is not enough. Then she said, okay, I have to go back to my boss and bring the approval. I said, okay, if you are going back to your boss, come tomorrow before 4 o'clock. So you are putting deadline, a pressure to her. Scarcity tactics that emphasizing limited availability of an offer to create urgency. You go to sale and they will say this price is only today. Bullshit. Preparation is the key. Thoroughly research the situation, understand your goals, and identify. I will explain that with that case. The incident Kuala Lumpur International Airport that happened. Subcontractor sending an agent to try and see whether she can challenge my personal integrity and values. This is what happened. To complete project on time, we were using a paver called SP500 virgin paver. You see, you bring the concrete supplied by her company, and when it goes through the machine, there are 18 vibrators here, and that extrude a 5-meter wide, 450 millimeter thick concrete lane. And this is the Kuala Lumpur International Airport now. And these are the lanes that we are talking about. Now flights are coming and parking here. Now, what happened was, in the contract, that we signed the contract with them on back-to-back basis. What is the back-to-back basis? Back-to-back basis means if the Kuala Lumpur International Airport Authority is paying me something, I will pay the balance also same basis. Now, KLIA, Kuala Lumpur International Airport Authority, was paying me the hardened concrete. So it is very easy, length, width, and the thickness. But he is supplying the loose concrete by the truck. Now, he was insisting that I should pay him what he supplied. I said, no, the contract says back-to-back basis. Then he bring one Karnataka engineer to explain me the difference of loose concrete and the hardened concrete. I knew that. But I told him, man, it is not a technical issue. It's a contractual issue. You have signed a back-to-back contract. I'll pay you only this. So that was also failed. One day I was going into my hotel, and the hotel receptionist came and told me, Nihal, there is a visitor for you. I went in and I saw a nice looking little girl is sitting there in the lobby, and I asked her, yes, I'm Nihal, and how can I help you? Yes, I need at least 1 hour or 1.5 hours to discuss with you our issue. I asked him, what is the issue? Yeah, you are paying only this concrete, hardened concrete. We are supplying loose concrete, and we are losing heavily, and we need a solution to recover our losses. I said, okay, stay there. I will go and have a wash and come back. And I went to my room and I was taking my shower. Then I hear tuck, tuck, tuck. Then I put up my towel and went and opened my door, and I find the girl is in front of my room. She was asking, can I come in? I said, yes, why not? All means, come. She came into my room and she looked at around my room, and there was a bed, there was a sofa, there was a dressing table, and there was a stool to sit and dress yourself. She sit on that dressing table, putting her legs like this. I realized, okay, now she has come on a mission. I said, okay, relax, let me finish my shower. I finished my shower and came and asked her. And I came and changed my dress and sit on the bed and ask, tell me what's the problem. Then she said, look, Nihal, we have a big problem, and we are losing heavily. And my boss is the one who sent me here with an offer. I asked him, what is the offer? Then she said, we will pay you the $1,000 per month. And I will come with you to go anywhere in Malaysia, enjoy ourselves. You can do whatever you want. I said, fantastic. You are a cute little girl. And if I can go around Malaysia enjoying myself, it's a fantastic offer. But that $1,000 is not fantastic. What? $1,000 is not fantastic offer for you? What you are talking? I said, compared to my salary now, this $1,000 is nothing. She asked me, what is your salary? I said, I'm getting 10,000 US dollars per month. Then she said, no, Nihal, I cannot agree on that. To increase the 1,000, I have to go back to my boss and increase it. I said, okay, if you're going back, come tomorrow before 4:30. I'm giving pressure on her. Then she asked me, okay, let me negotiate that with my boss. How about my offer? I said, no, I cannot accept that also. Why? I told her I'm a Buddhist. Then she said, I'm also Buddhist. I asked him, how on earth you being Buddhist and doing this business with me? Then she said, I'm a pariah Buddhist. I said, even if you are a pariah Buddhist, I cannot accept that. Then she realized that I'm not getting into her slot. She said, Nihal, let us keep this discussion between you and me and close the issue. I said, no. What? You cannot agree my proposal and you cannot keep it to yourself? What nonsense? I said, no, it's not nonsense. I know that you are a stakeholder affected by decision, but it is not only you are affected. Your boss is affected. My boss is affected. I will give you a win-win situation if you arrange a meeting with your boss and my boss and those who are affected by this decision. She said, okay, that's fair enough. I'll go back and tell my boss that you are going to give a win-win situation. I said, yes. She left. I called my boss. Man, I'm leaving this project. Why? Why you are going to leave this project? This is the second time that you are trying to leave this project. I said, yes. I am under threat. What do you mean by under threat? I said, today, a 21-year-old girl came to my hotel room and started negotiating about how to resolve the problem of paying concrete bills to them. They have studied my behavior. They know that although I come to the club, I take only one beer. They know that when I go to Kuala Lumpur, I will be in all my force. So that much they have studied. So if I don't resolve this problem, they will kill me. What happened to my wife and children? I want to leave this. He said, no, Nihal, I cannot let you leave, but I can speak to Bin Laden and make some arrangement. I said, okay, arrange it. Then Bin Laden called me and said, look, Nihal, this particular company, the Tim, I know because he's a friend of Deputy Prime Minister of Malaysia. I can speak to him and solve it. I said, not only him, all the stakeholders we must bring in one table and negotiate. Then he said, okay, I will arrange this. He arranged it. He told me to come to Kuala Lumpur Shangri-La Hotel on this room, that room. I went there, and then I found Deputy Prime Minister was also there, and he introduced me first, and then Tim was there. The first time I'm meeting him, and that little girl was also there, and there were some other people, those who are not known to me, but I started negotiating. Then my boss told Tim, okay, tell Tim what's your problem. Then he said, look, I'm doing this project this much, and these are all my friends, and this because of this Nihal taking a decision to pay only the hardened concrete, I'm losing this much, and this cannot be afforded by me or my company, and I'm going to go bust. Then I started, look, man, this is not your problem, but your manager don't understand how to manage the project. Why? I told him, when I came to solve the problem of cracking, you had tendered this job at 450 kilogram per cubic meter of concrete. You were using 450 kilogram cement. But when we do the testing, we reduce that to 350 kilogram per cubic meter. Okay, then you are saving 100 kilograms per cubic meter. You have to cast 350,000 cubic meters of concrete. How much you are saving there? Of course, according to the contract conditions, this is normal. When you do your concrete design, you don't know what is the exact amount of cement. So usually you put a high value and put a condition in the contract. If the final value is lowered, 50% will be borne by the contractor. The other 50% will be borne by the subcontractor. So I told him there is 100 kilogram per cubic meter saving. Out of that, 50 kilogram saving is for you. If you multiply that 50 kilogram saving multiplied by 350,000 cubic meters, you will get 900,000 ringgits. That is about 450,000 US dollars. Is it not profit? Your problem is your manager has not done his study properly. This is my study. Go and explain to him, submit your claim. You have supplied so much of concrete. For that also, he did not submit his bills according to the contract. Then he realized, I'm giving a win-win situation. He is not losing, I'm not losing. It's a win-win situation. So he shake hand me. He said, he's sorry that I misunderstood this thing, and everybody is telling you are a tough man, but you are a fair man. Keep my card with you. And if police or anybody catch you, show this card and tell them that you are a friend of mine. They will protect you. You don't have to leave this project. I want you to be here in the project. Everybody was happy, and we finished the project. This is how you behave yourself according to ethical standards. Thank you so much. I hope that you learn some good lessons from this discussion. Thank you. Over to you, Tila.
Yeah, now question and answer session. You can ask the questions or you can put it to the chat box.
Even if you, I don't mind you asking questions in Sinhalese also, because I can speak Sinhala very well.
And okay, can you unshare the screen?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. It's a very interesting lecture. It's real practical. And as an engineer, what type of problems we are facing, how to tackle these problems without compromising your integrity.
exactly.
Yeah. So that is the message he is sending. And our subject is engineering ethics. Engineering ethics is not the philosophical ones only. Practical things you have to understand. When you go to the industry,
Absolutely.
you are facing this kind of problem, but the ethically you can behave without any problem, but you have to have the confidence. You should know the subject. You should know how to tackle the things, and you should have your soft skills. You should be genuine. Then actually, I also face similar problems, but I did not compromise my policies or my integrity. But I got my correct position even I retired. In
Very
the,
true.
yeah. So therefore and also I was saved from the nature recently. So
Exactly. Yeah.
all these things work. So you can ask a very good question from Mr. Nihal Premachandra. He is one of the in my batch about 125 people are there. So one is he's a very leading person. Even during the implant training period, he earned some money. So
True,
so
true.
yeah, so he know how to handle the people, real. So very, very interesting and very practicable. So please ask questions. So this is a very good opportunity to you.
Hi, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a very nice, interesting lecture. And then I have one question. You said like you manage a lot of projects. So like during those projects, it's like you might have faced a lot of pressures, like with this dilemma situation or something like more situations like that. I just wanted to ask like how you overcome those pressure situations, like being a manager and like with handling those costs, you should not spend a lot. You should like manage it within the budget. So you might be getting more pressure from your company and stakeholders and all. I just wanted to ask, like, how did you overcome those pressure situations?
Yeah. It's a very good question. And look, you know Bin Laden, who the Bin Laden is. He's the brother of Osama bin Laden. I have worked with Osama bin Laden also. I know how much pressure bin Laden can exert on his subordinates. And the first orientation, that first training that we had was how to work within the organization, the procedures and all these things. Second training session after my batch in Bin Laden group, he conducted by himself professional ethics. He explained everything, and he told in a very bold manner, I am leaving millions of dollars at your disposal. If you are not faithful to me, if you misuse it, you will face unimaginable consequences. That message was very straight. The people are doing hanky panky because of they find gaps in the leadership. So in my management, this data analytics is very much important. I plan my project, I plan my budget, I plan my resources, I have a baseline. And from the day one, I monitor the variance. You plan like this, it goes like this, what happened? And you take corrective action to bring your plan to an acceptable level. then you don't have to wait until the last moment to understand your project is losing. If it is losing, you talk to your boss. You explain to him, man, I have done everything and it is going like this. I need your help. So it is not only your boss, even your team. You must have a collaborative approach. To have that collaborative approach, your ethics is very, very important. You must let your team respect you. Otherwise, it is difficult to manage. So now you have AI, artificial intelligence. Of course, I'm teaching, I'm having some continuous professional development courses in IESL, and I teach them how to use data analytics in managing projects, how to use artificial intelligence in managing projects. You must use this technology and you must update yourself to be efficient and more practicable because you have experience. That experience can be matched with these outputs of the data analytics and AI algorithms. So that way, you can be more efficient than anybody else. If somebody is not learning these AI algorithms and data analytics, he will be replaced by somebody who knows that. So be aware of it. Go with the latest technology. That is what Americans also found, that they are wasting 125 million US dollars when they spend $1 billion on projects. So this is what my policy was. I am now 67 years old. I started learning Python after 60 years. It is required. If you update yourself, you apply these things practically, because engineering is a science and art. If you know the science, you can easily apply that in your art. So this is my success story. Thank you.
So his question is how do you work under the pressure? How do you tackle these things? What is the
Yeah, okay. Under pressure, that I told you, Bin Laden is a strong person. But you don't get panic. You plan yourself. You have a roadmap, how you are going to achieve it. If you have an advanced plan, you can always know whether you are following it or not. So whatever the pressure it comes, it doesn't matter. Pressure comes because of what? When they find that you are failing, they will put pressure on you. You must have a good substantiation of your acts. If you don't have that, if you have not studied that, you will be coming under pressure always. Is it clear?
Yeah, if I add something to what you said, the first thing is you should know your subject well. And second thing, you should take the decision based on the facts, not from the common sense. It's a very impressive that statement, your statement, because in Sri Lanka, most of the meetings, we take the decisions from the common sense. Sometimes without any facts, somebody says, that is happening there. Then the whole lot of things we have already built can be in vain because of just kind of just statement. So therefore you should know the technology, you should know the project management, you should have the dedication. If you do it that way and you should be faithful, then you can bear any pressure because you have the confidence that you are doing the correct thing. I think that is the message Nihal given to you. Is that
Exactly. Yeah. Because you must have the confidence. You can build the confidence provided that you do plan things and organize things so that you can take decisions based on data. Exactly. Because, in CPD classes, first class, I gave them 10 questions, multiple choice. I put purposely one answer based on common sense. The first day, they answer all common sense answers, not the right answer. Because we are used to take decisions based on our common sense, which is absolutely rubbish.
That is one of the failures of our country.
Yeah,
I heard
exactly.
when you go to the developed countries, maybe the chairman or the president, he knows his subject very well. He will direct his director board or the subordinate the correct direction.
Yes.
But here it's not happening like that.
You see, Bin Laden himself an engineer. Osama Bin Laden is an electronic engineer. So they know the subject very well. You cannot bluff.
Now in Sri Lanka, everybody is waiting until the president says something.
This is absolutely right.
Right? If I am a chairman of the company, I should drive that one. But I am
Exactly.
waiting until the president says to me or the minister says to me.
This is
So,
our failure.
yeah. Okay. Have you got the answer to your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And also Mr. Nihal has given a lot of examples during his lecture. So you can watch the video later, and every word he told is very, very important. Okay, තව ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා අහන්න බලන්න ඕගොල්ලෝ හොඳ අවස්ථාවක් මේක වෙන්නේ. මාත් දිගටම අහගෙන හිටියා මොකද මටත් හරි ඉන්ට්‍රෙස්ටිං එක අහගෙන ඉන්නකොට. You can put to the chat box. I think this also one of the failure of the engineers. They don't straightforward, they don't ask questions, they don't get on with others. So they don't know how to dress for a particular occasion. All these things are, I think, the drawbacks of it. What did the
Tilak,
Nihal says?
Tilak, for your information, personal ethics. This our senior engineer, our senior batch, Prabodha Jinasena, is very good in teaching personal ethics. Maybe that is also important when you go to a meeting, how you behave, when you go to a party, how you behave, and all these things. He's an expert. Try and give that opportunity also. It's very important. When you go abroad, you will see these things.
Mm.
Here in Sri Lanka, we think, oh, we all same. Ethics is very important. Personal ethics also. I'm talking about the professional ethics, but Prabodha is very good in personal ethics. In fact, we have a Lions Club, and in that club, we have these two programs. We go to the universities, we go to the schools, we teach ethics.